Great. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Conservative Progress's Cheers to the Union event, the showpiece of our Love Our Union Day, which has been going on all day on social media, online. Hopefully you will have seen, but I'll come on to that in a second. My name is Ed McGuinness. I'm the head of events at Conservative Progress, and I'm delighted to be joined tonight by Andrew Rosendale, MP for Romford since 2001. And I will introduce Andrew a little bit more fully in a moment. But first, I just wanted to touch on why we did this campaign, and it's really to talk about the positive case for the union. And we've had a number of events. We had our launch event with the four chairmen. We had an economic policy event. We had a Scottish update from the leader of the Scottish Conservatives, Douglas Ross, and we've had our Welsh Focus event. And all of those have been excellent, but they've been leading up to today, which is obviously St Andrew's Day and our Love Our Union Day. And I would like to thank everyone on this call and all the MPs, members of the Welsh Assembly, MSPs, local authority members, councillors and Conservative groups, and most of all our members, Conservative activists, and anyone who engaged today with us on our social media campaign. It has been phenomenal, and the hard work and success of our team here at Conservative Progress is nothing without everyone out there putting out the positive, passionate case for the union. Now, this being the culmination event of the day, we're delighted, as I mentioned, to be joined by Andrew Rosendale, MP. Andrew, bedecked in union flags, is the chairman of the All-Party Parliamentary Flags and Heraldry Committee, and has mentioned to me that anyone who manages to successfully guess the flag in his background will get a thumbs up from the Conservative Progress team. So without further ado, I'd love to hand over to Andrew and get his thoughts on today and his thoughts on the union. Thank you so much, Andrew.
Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Ed, for your introduction. And thank you to Conservative Progress for this magnificent initiative, Love Our Union. And what better day to launch this initiative than St Andrew's Day, the 30th of November, as we raise a glass to toast the heritage of our friends in Scotland, who form a pivotal part of our magnificent union of nations, of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. We are privileged, I believe, to be the inheritors of what our forebears were able to build, a union of peoples stretching across these islands, which has had greater influence, I think, on the development of the world than any other nation on this planet. The United Kingdom and the peoples that make up the Great British family are people who have championed the cause of freedom and liberty throughout the planet. We have championed the extension of the rule of law in countries around the world, democracy and human rights, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, free trade, free enterprise, and also the values of Christianity, which form the foundation of our own nation. But of course, freedom of religion includes everybody of all faiths and none. And that is the great values of our nation, that everyone is free to choose their own and to be part of a family with shared values and identity. And that is what being British is all about. And I'm fact that we in the United Kingdom today are still as proud of our country as our forebears were. We are also heading in a new direction again by leaving the European Union. But today, the important is our union and how we keep that union strong together and ever growing, because we can easily discard something without thinking about how difficult it would be to recreate if that mistake was made. And mistakes have been made. I'll make no bones about it. If you examine Britain's history, we haven't always got it right. There are times when we have lost the ability to keep everyone together. And the clear example of that is Ireland, where our friends in Ireland decided to leave the Union. So we must make sure that we don't make the same mistakes in the future and keep our friends from Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, and indeed England together. Let's not forget that sometimes the people in England feel that they are not necessarily getting the best out of the Union. So we need a new positive approach to this, which is inclusive for everybody, whilst at the same time holding true to those values that the Union was founded upon. The British family extends beyond England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. It extends to 21 territories and dependencies around the world as well. And one of those territories, the flag you pointed out earlier, is behind. I won't tell you which territory it is. I know people are already guessing. But the fact is, we do have a wider British family. Although the territories and dependencies are not part of the United Kingdom, they are still part of our great British family, and they should be included in everything we do. So we have the foundations of a great nation in the future, as well as a great nation in the past. So let us be proud Brits. Let's bring our country together. Let's accentuate the positives that exist, but deal with the very real concerns of those who are sceptical about the way the United Kingdom is currently managed and run, so that we find that people can see the advantages of keeping our union together. And I particularly think of our friends in Scotland. As a former Scottish Conservative and Unionist candidate who stood in the deepest, darkest end of Glasgow, I know exactly how Scots feel. And I think deep down they still feel British, but they also feel proudly Scottish. So it is always a question of getting that balance right between what the union is there for and how the union is evolved compared to what the component parts do. And that is what we need to get right. I don't believe for one moment that anyone in Scotland seriously wants there to be separate British armed forces or separate embassies abroad or complete separation. You know, we share a queen, we share a flag, a heritage. All these things are really important. And I think most Scots deep down know that, and I don't think they want to lose it. But we need to handle things differently and better and look at things in a longer term perspective. And that's why this discussion today and the whole belief values that you've talked about in cherishing our union are so important, and we need to take that forward in the years ahead. So thank you to Conservative Progress for this initiative today. I look forward to continuing to play a part in this, and I believe that all members of the Conservative Party need to make this an absolute priority. I know we are really, bogged down in Brexit issues, or we have been up until now with COVID and getting over that particular hurdle. But once that's out of the way, I think the next battle, probably the biggest battle we have to fight, is to make sure that those who want to destroy our union are defeated. And only the Conservative and Unionist Party can show the leadership that's needed to ensure that our union remains strong and united for many centuries to come. Thank you very much indeed.
Excellent, Andrew, and what a fantastic set of comments those were, matching the passion shown in the background there with those comments. And clearly you're a member of Parliament who really believes in the Conservative Party being the Conservative and Unionist Party. Do you have time to take one or two questions, Andrew?
Yes, certainly. Very happy to.
Great. If you do wish to ask a question, please do put it in the chat or the Q&A, and then I will try to unmute you if you wish to ask it in person. And if you don't, you can just write it down and I will read it out. But if you don't mind, Andrew, I would like to maybe ask a question while those are populating. But from your own personal experiences, what's been the part of the union, maybe perhaps with your work on the British Overseas Territories, that that really strikes you as one of the fundamental strengths of the United Kingdom?
One particular thing, or various things?
Whichever strikes you as the most prominent.
Okay. Well, do you know something? I think that it's often the things that are not talked about which are the most important. And I think that deep down in the psychology of the British people is what I would call a love of freedom. Okay, we have common language, we have common rule of law, and all the things we spoke about earlier. But the one thing I think that the British people love is the idea that we are a free people, that we can make our own choices and have respect for each other for our differences, but still be free to choose what we do and how we live our lives, but also how our nation goes forward. And I think that wherever I go in parts of the United Kingdom, or indeed any of the territories and dependencies, there's that deep belief in and love of freedom, and understanding that being British actually is synonymous with being a free person. And I think that when you look at other countries in the world, and you don't have to go too far to see countries where freedom isn't cherished in the way that it is in the United Kingdom. When I say you don't have to go too far, you don't have to go too far. You just need to go over the English Channel. Plenty of countries over there where freedom is a pretty new concept. And I think that we should really talk about the fact that it is Britain that has given its people greater freedom than any other country, and other countries that have followed, like the United States, should be commended for that. But Britain shouldn't lose sight of this, because I think that deep down that is what drives us and makes us proud of being Brits, because we can choose, we can make our own decisions and make our own destiny. And freedom is the foundation of everything we've achieved as a nation. So I think if you want one answer, the belief in freedom and the love of freedom that the British people have, I think is something we need to emphasize much more strongly than we do. We take it for granted, and particularly during these times, we know what it means to lose our freedom, and we need to ensure that that never happens.
That's an excellent point, and it leads on to one of the questions we've had come in from Andrew Carr. If I could ask Alan to unmute Andrew if he wants to ask his question. If that doesn't work in a couple of seconds, I will ask it on Andrew's behalf. Andrew, I believe you're unmuted. You can ask your question.
Yeah, hi there, everybody. Hi. I'm loving these conversations here, particularly what you were saying there, Andrew. My thought is there's a huge amount of shall we say, concern from me, and I know a lot of other people, about the narrative that's going on in Scotland with the SNP demanding a new vote for independence. Their rhetoric is very emotional in terms of sort of their independence and all the stuff that they talk about. I think it's important that we don't just talk about a financial side to unionism, but an emotional one as well, so we can actually tug people's hearts and sort of say, look, this is for you guys. This is a 300-year-old union that you are part of. You are contributing to, you are gaining benefit from, but the narrative seems to have been taken by the separatists. And I suppose, I don't know who to ask the question to, maybe Ed or Andrew, what we can do about that as a nation.
Andrew, you're the expert. If you had a comment on that.
Well, I don't think I'm an expert, but I do have an instinct. I think what drives me in politics is not necessarily being an expert on anything, but having some deep instinct about what's right. And I think that the United Kingdom and the British family offers something which so many other countries don't offer. And I think that what Andrew has said, as Andrew Carr has just said, is completely right. That, I don't want to go into this debate talking about, financial cost benefits of this. That's what the mistake we made with the EU, I think. It's about do we benefit financially, economically with trade? Look, all of that can be swept away, because if you have freedom, these things happen naturally anyway. What's more important, I think, is, as Andrew said, the emotional context of this. And the flag that I'm displaying here is deep in our emotions. Our ancestors for hundreds of years have fought under that flag to give us the freedom we've got today. We don't just have the freedom automatically. We don't just have the rule of law automatically. We don't have all the rights and liberties for free. Those have been fought for. Those have been hard won. And if today's generation can't see that and don't cherish that, they're going to lose it. So we have to talk about the emotional context of being British, why it is so vital that we remember our history and don't make the mistakes of the past and then relive those mistakes. Why it's important to understand that the Great British Family isn't just an arrangement that meets in Westminster to make laws. That happens to be the parliamentary side of it. It runs far deeper in every community across these islands, but around the world. There are British communities in every major city around the world, particularly in the Commonwealth. I've just come off a meeting of the CANZUK all-party group, where we're talking about Canada, Australia, New Zealand, bringing them together for trade and cooperation. But around the Commonwealth, everywhere you go, there are not just the Commonwealth, but everywhere there are British people and people of British ancestry. Being British is a badge of honour. It's not something we should be ashamed of. It's not something that we should play down. It's not something we should purely characterise as an economic gain. This is about us as a people going back many, many centuries. And we fail to talk about those things. Perhaps it's not politically correct. I don't know. But I think that deep down, people in Scotland and in Northern Ireland and in Wales, deep down they know that they are the inheritors of an incredible legacy, a legacy of people of these islands who sailed the world and created the incredible network of English-speaking countries and free trading nations that uphold a rule of law and all the things we've been discussing about. So let's not hide our light under the bushel. Let's get out there and be proud of it. And let's promote British values, British identity, and not be afraid to be patriotic. One of the biggest complaints I've had is when the Conservative Party took the Union flag off the platform at party conference. Now, it's sort of been restored since, but we as a party, we are a conservative and unionist party, and we should not be afraid to go very strongly for that, but not, as I say, not just simply characterize it in terms of what we benefit economically from, but far deeper. If we do that, we can win the fight. That's how Brexit has happened, because those of us who were Brexiteers, and I suspect there might be one or two people on this call who were Brexiteers, I think you will know that we won the battle not by talking about how many pounds are going to be better off or not, because nobody believed all that. We talked about the emotion of it, about sovereignty, about being British and deciding our own destiny, taking back control. And exactly the same approach we need to fight the SNP and those who are pushing now so hard for separatism of Scotland. So those are my thoughts anyway.
100%. Thank you so much, Andrew. And that's why Conservative Progress are running this positive campaign of passion for our union. And we've got two things before we wrap up. The first is, Andrew, would you mind revealing the owner of that wonderful flag behind you?
I can certainly do so.
Have a winner, I think.
Quite a few people, I think, have made comments about it, and they're on the chat. So quite a few people got it right. That is, in fact, the flag behind me is the flag of the British Indian Ocean Territory. This is one of our British overseas territories. And as you can see, it has the Union flag, but it also has a palm tree and a crown. And the British Indian Ocean Territory is, of course, where Diego Garcia is, the air base where the Americans are based, but it's still a British territory. I was very privileged to go there only last year. It's one of the most remote British territories of the lot, and it's sadly the one territory where we ejected the inhabitants of that territory in the 60s and 70s, and instead of letting them stay in their homeland and have self-determination as we do with the Falkland Islands or Gibraltar, we actually took those people away, the Chagossians, and so I work very closely with them to try to allow them to return home and for the British Indian Ocean Territory to remain a British territory, because Mauritius has a claim on it. So it's a very interesting one, not particularly well known about the issues concerning it, but it's certainly one that I'm sure that Conservative Progress could take up the cudgels on that one as well in the future. Thank you.
Excellent work you're doing, Andrew. And finally, could I ask everyone who's attending to tweet and push out on social media that you've attended? And can I ask for 10 seconds for people to turn on their cameras and do what the title of this event is, and have a little cheers to the union. If you don't have any beer or wine or water in front of you, if you just wave or a thumbs up, we'll take a quick photo and we'll post it on our social media, and then we will let everyone enjoy their evening. So if everyone just, does a little fun, little hands up, little thumbs up, that would be great. And Alan's just there taking the photo. So cheers to the union, everyone.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I think, Alan, if you're happy, have you got a little thumbs up for us there?
I'm happy.
Great. Look, thanks so much, everyone, for joining. It's been excellent. Thank you for all your support throughout the day. Without, like I said at the beginning, without you all here supporting us, tweeting what we're doing, social media bonanza, it's been fantastic. And finally, I'd just like to thank our guest of honor tonight, Andrew Rosendale. It's a very, very busy time for MPs these days, particularly with a lot of sort of intimate constituency work that's really, really important. And Andrew's taken some time out of his evening to come and speak to us and show that there is real passion there in the Conservative Party, on both the backbenches, as we've seen today in our campaign, and the front benches, as we've also seen today in our campaign. So thank you so much, Andrew, and thank you for quite literally flying the flag this evening. And we hope to have you back on another event. And we hope to see everyone who is here tonight on another event. This is the last event Conservative Progress is doing this year. We'll be back next year with some more Love Our Union campaign events. We've got some policy events, focus events, campaigns, and obviously our annual conference, which should go ahead, vaccine permitting. So thanks to everyone again for joining, and have a great evening, and cheers to the union again. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.